What's going on, everyone? Today I have something different for you guys. I'm going to be putting my 2 cents in regarding the controversy surrounding Halo Infinite from when it launched last month up until now. I've been planning on making this video much earlier, but with school and work, I just couldn't find the time until now to do it. But it wasn't just time that delayed me in making this video. It was some of the news that the fans kept digging up that made this launch just more depressing rather than awesome. For example, the garbage progression system that we have in place, and we all know that 343 is working on this, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that this progression system is still a long ways away from what we want. And I mean, it's not too much to say that can we just have the Master Chief Collection 1, but I digress. We also have the revelation recently that the mission selection that has been a staple in previous Halos is not going to be a thing at launch for the campaign. And that we also have no campaign co-op or forge mode at launch really made it all this disheartening to see. It was difficult watching my favorite franchise lose its identity, and it made it even worse when I realized that the community was right, that 343 is just dropping the ball again and again. It isn't acceptable for the game to have these issues, given that it has been in development for 6 years. It was really disappointing, but I saw 343 was working on the problems we've highlighted as a community, and it made me hopeful that the developers are listening to us. But that's when SKE7CH posted a comment on Reddit. A sort of one response fits all to the community, in which that he basically outlined everybody's complaints, or most people's complaints, and I really recommend you check this out. But it was really disheartening to see the community be so volatile to the point where the subreddit for Halo had to go offline because of how toxic the community was. I felt compelled to finally make this video and wanted to make sure I get this done before Infinite release so I can focus on the things that I like doing, like making content regarding the campaign for Infinite and getting the channel ready for all the plans that I have for it. This video is the culmination of my feedback not only regarding Halo Infinite, it is a culmination of my feedback towards SKE7CH, the developers, and the community. In this video, I will be discussing the pros and cons of Halo Infinite up to this point. I will also have a response for SKE7CH regarding his post on Reddit, and I want to offer constructive criticism not only to 343 regarding the problems that there are, but I would like to generally offer constructive criticism to the community as well. Because sometimes we're so passionate about this universe that we forget that there are people who are behind the scenes making this game happen, and to say that they want this franchise to fail or that they dislike Halo is frankly ridiculous. I genuinely believe that 343 wanted to do the best they could for this game, and I see proof of that every time I launch the game. But without making this intro super long, I finally want to get into the pros and cons regarding Infinite. Now, the very first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I talk about the good things that Halo Infinite has done. Number one being, I cannot stress enough how beautiful this game is. This game is like visually stunning. It is probably the best visually I've seen a Halo game get. And that's saying a lot because a lot of the Halo games in the 343 era have been visually good in some way or another. But Halo Infinite did it perfectly. They took the old and they blended it with the new, and it made it just felt right. There was nothing that I could say that was bad that 343 did. I mean, there was arguments that I've had with people about, or more like discussions, but I've had discussion with people regarding the art style, and personally, art style was not one of those things that really got me upset. But to see that they were able to listen to you guys, the people who may disagree with me and say that the art style is a huge point of what made Halo, but also still remain like kind of have their own twist on it. It felt refreshing. I think they did a fantastic job, and I cannot stress that enough. That is an amazing job, and I want to applaud 343 for doing that because that is difficult to do. The weapons, for the most part, are absolutely amazing, and they're very good to use. I enjoy them every single time I pick up the battle rifle, the mangler, the skewer, the bulldog. The sidekick is a welcome addition to the sandbox. I love it. Like, I love all the weapons except a few of them, and I'll get into that when I hit the cons. But right now, I just want to focus on the pros, and the weapons. They feel really balanced, like the energy sword. There's something going on with the gravity hammer, but again, I'll get into that later. I love the I love the dynamo grenade. That's a great addition to the sandbox as well. I love the equipment. The equipment is also really, really fun. Again, like, just a little constructive criticism. I would like there to be more of it, but that's because I really enjoy being able to grapple or being able to repulsor jump and then just like coming up behind somebody and just destroying them. Like, it's super, super fun, and I really want to applaud 343 for all of these little additions that they made to make this game feel new and refreshing. And that is a big thing that people forget, is like they're just sitting there complaining constantly about these things that take away from the good. And I want to make sure that we talk about the good more. And call me a 343 shill all you want. That's just me. Like, I promise, like, I'm not. Like, I'm sitting here in a few moments going to be criticizing them. But I promise you, like, we focus a lot on what they did negatively. We need to remember what they did bad, what they did good, so that we can be able to give a constructive criticism, which I'll get into later on. Another amazing pro that I think is brilliant, a brilliant addition to Halo, is the Academy. Being able to go into weapon drills to warm up, being able to warm up against bots, being able to play against bots in legitimate PvP matches it's refreshing to see, and it gives new Halo players a way to be like, they'll be able to feel like they can stand a chance now. They're learning about the universe. They're learning about what makes Halo Halo. What makes it different than any other shooter out there is that Halo has its own kind of playstyle. I can't take the strategies I have in Halo and go put them into like Call of Duty or Battlefield. It's a different type of playstyle. So I really want to say that 343 did one of the best things, I think, in a Halo game, and that's just adding an academy. Weapon drills, a tutorial for new players, number one. That's something that we barely have in Halo. And again, I really want to applaud 343 for doing it, because I've been asking for this feature since Halo Reach came out, and it's been 11 years, and we finally got it. I'm really happy that 343 did that. I like the extended customization options that they included into the player customization. I'll be talking about some of the customization later on, trust me, but for right now, I mean, the ability to put prosthetics on your Spartan, that's a big thing, as well as customizing your own personal AI, being able to like, I actually want to get into like the customization in terms of visual fidelity too. Like, all that type of stuff is really impressive, and it's really awesome that they included that. Accessibility features and the settings are very detailed. They're very useful too. Being able to say, like, you know what, I don't like this. I can't see that red. I want to change it to like a yellow so I can see that Spartan a little bit better, or I can change my enemy's shield color to be even, like, just being able to change the outline of the player is really good in my opinion. Yes, there are still some controversy surrounding the red versus blue that we used to have, but overall I really enjoy the change. It makes it more of a focus on your customization rather than, oh, you're wearing that type of red, awesome. Like, and again, I've been playing Halo since 2001. I know how much of a staple red versus blue is. You do not need to go into the comments and say red versus blue is a staple. I know. I have enjoyed red versus blue as well. If anything, the constructive way to go about this is just say, hey, 343, can we turn off this feature? Can I just get red versus blue back? Like, just a little toggle. And that should be enough to satisfy both the people who are happy with the way it is and give you guys something that you guys want. And that's something that we can get into later on when we talk about constructive criticism. Big Team Battle 2.0 is amazing. I cannot sing Big Team Battle's praises enough. Big Team Battle is arguably more fun than Warzone is. And a little tidbit, I really liked Warzone. I thought it was a really fun game mode. I thought it was unique to Halo, and I thought that being able to fight these AI over time, like it was genuinely a fun game mode. PvE is something that Halo in general, I think they nailed. I think Warzone's a really fun game mode, and I really would like to see that in Halo Infinite. But moving on, Big Team Battle is amazing. I love the atmosphere. There's some issues at times with Big Team Battle, like a little team balancing issues, or why do I have to wait 20 minutes to get a Banshee when you can just like drop it at like the beginning? Or like, again, this is all stuff that we could talk about and when we get to cons or when we get to constructive criticism. But overall, like, Big Team Battle is an amazing game mode. I find myself excited to get into Big Team Battle every single time I play it. And the game modes themselves are amazing as well. Total Control is a really fun game mode. I would rather play Total Control in Arena as well rather than Strongholds. I would rather play Stockpile as well. And I mean, Capture the Flag is a great game mode in Big Team Battle. It's a bigger scale, and 343 nailed that when they were talking about that in one of their Inside Infinites earlier this year. Now, the vehicles and their designs are another is another pro to Halo Infinite. Like, the vehicles all feel, for the most part, feel like they should. The only issue that I have is probably the Banshee, who has like paper thin health. Like, that should not, the Ghost should not have more durability than your Banshee, in my opinion. But again, that is a con that I'll talk about later on. But overall, the Warthogs all look great. The sound design is amazing on all the vehicles. And speaking of sound design, the music is amazing. And I feel like the composer did an amazing job of kind of blending, just like I was talking about with the art style, blending that old and new and making it feel like you're, like, it still feels like Halo to me. And all these pros, for me, is what made Halo Halo. It made Halo this amazing, unique universe where we're able to just go around killing aliens, and it's just something that we all like to experience. It's something that has made Halo Halo for the past 20 years. Now, I do want to get into the cons, and I do want to say I genuinely try to keep things positive, but there are times where we have to say, you guys dropped the ball. We turn to 343, say, like, you guys dropped the ball. We need explanations. We need fixing. And I really feel like customization is, like, I'm going to talk about, like, 3 big ones. Customization, the progression system, and the battle pass. And the monetization is part of the battle pass, so I'll get into that in a moment. But the customization is really lackluster, and it's disappointing to see. For the developers to say they want Halo Reach style customization options for your Spartan in this game, to me, I don't think they were lying. I just think it was very disingenuous to suggest that to the community with armor cores present. Now, I understand armor cores might be there simply because you guys need to sell. That 343 just needs to sell. Like, be able to, like, make money off their product. That's essentially, because, like, Halo Infinite's a free multiplayer game. Like, you have to generate revenue somehow, right? So I do understand that, and I really do. I'll get into that when I talk about constructive criticism on how 343 can handle that better. But the customization just, it's terrible. I should be able to use any Mark V armor piece on my Mark 7 within reason. I should not be able to use the same helmet, maybe. I shouldn't be able to use the same, maybe, chest, but overall, I don't see why I can't use that knife that Emil has on my Mark 7. I don't see how. It just seems, it's disappointing. It's very disappointing that customization is not necessarily customization. It's, would you like to customize your Mark 5 today, or would you like to customize your Mark 7 today, or the Yoroi armor? Like, what would you rather do? I'm not customizing a single Spartan. I'm customizing 3 different ones. I should be customizing one. What if I want the Sentinel blade that I paid $20 for on my Mark 7? You're just going to put that behind, like, I'm not able to use that 343? It's really bad, in my opinion, to be able to handicap players' customization options and the way that they express themselves in game. That, to me, player expression in a video game is something that makes people come back and play video games. As somebody who wants to be an aspiring, who wants to be a game developer one day, I've made it abundantly clear in multiple scenarios that player expression is something that people are very into. It's something that makes the game fun, that makes them feel like they are in the universe. And to harp on this issue, because it is, again, the worst issue in the game is customization, progression, and monetization. To take away players' customization simply because you want to make a little bit more money, it's awful, and it needs to be fixed. Moving into progression, the progression's awful. I don't know who said, you know what we need to do? There's one good thing about the progression system, and it's that it doesn't take a lot for you to level up. 1,000 XP is not that bad. But the bad outweighs the good in this scenario. Whoever thought, you know what we need? We need to... The only way that a player can actually get level ups is if we put them behind these really ridiculous daily and weekly challenges. Like, you know what would be a challenge for a player? How about they log in for the day and play one match? You know how much of a challenge that is for the people who actually really like to play this game? Or, like, even the casual gamer who might not be, like, super into Halo, but they really like the game at times and they just want to log in. Like, playing one game is not a challenge. That's not challenging. To say that that is logically a challenge is, to me, ridiculous. You can't logically explain that to me. It is not a challenge for people to play your game. People will play your game because they like to play your game. Giving them XP, or maybe giving them like a daily login, like, hey, here's a challenge swap, or hey, here's a boost for the day. Like, that's something that I would agree with if you want to, like, give somebody a daily reward. But to say, like, hey, if you play like 5 games, I'll give you like 500 XP. Like, no, I'm not about that. 343, you really need to fix this progression system, and there is no better progression system that I can think of to replace Infinite's progression system with than Master Chief Collection. That is, in my opinion, the best progression system in all of gaming. That includes Battlefield, that includes Call of Duty, that includes like, what other shooters are there? I guess I named like the big 3, right? But regardless, it is the best progression system that I can personally think of, because it was a steady progression system. It still took a minute to get to max, and I don't think anybody's reaching max anytime soon. But you saw a genuine progression. You saw you get better over time, and that's what a progression system is. It's you getting better over time, and you getting rewarded for your efforts. When I get into constructive criticism, I will get really, really in depth about that. But for now, the progression system simply just needs to return to the way it was at bare minimum to the point where it was in Halo 5. In Halo 5 or Halo 4, I would be content with that. It needs to be fixed. To just continue off of the major three, monetization needs to be fixed. And I have a lot to say about monetization later on when we get to constructive criticism. But this one is kind of interesting because I understand in a free-to-play game that you need to make money, right? You have to find a way to get this money to this game to generate revenue. And I understand that maybe let that be Microsoft telling 343 like, hey, can your game make some coin? Like, and 343 is like, yeah, we have this customization, this monetization model. Like, I'm not saying that monetization of your game in terms of microtransactions is a bad thing. I'm not one of those people who will get upset at a game having microtransactions. I've never been upset about that in my life. I've only been upset about the monetization model in which it is predatory to do that to the people who play your game and want to play your game and want those armor pieces or those customization options, because it is basically saying to the community, rather than you earn these, I want you to pay me for it. And I'm not saying that you guys should not be paid for your work. I'm not saying 343 should not be paid for their work, because they deserve to be paid for what they did. I'm saying that the way it is right now, it is ridiculous. It costs for the Anubis armor that was on the shop last week. It was 2,000 credits. Now, you go into buy your credits and you pay, like, let's say $100. You get, I think it was like 11,500 credits total, because you get that 1,500 bonus if you buy the 100 one. Purchase it with $100. Now, I want to point out that 2,000 credits of 10,000 credits is $20. I do not believe for a second that armor should cost $20. The bundle that it comes with should not cost $20. It should be significantly cheaper for a person to buy that armor. Or, when we get into constructive criticism, don't do it at all. That's an option. Maybe you can have your monetization model, you can have your battle pass model, and you can have the traditional legacy model that we've all enjoyed since Halo 1 came out. Like, you can have your cake and eat it too, 343. You can do that. That is completely plausible, and I will explain why later on. But there's just a few things that I want to talk about that are cons. There are some hit registration issues. I've seen people talk about it being server-side problems rather than issues with the game in terms of, like, your side connection. So it's not client, it's more server. Some of the vehicles do feel a little clunky. As I was talking about earlier, the Banshee kind of fits that description fairly well. The Scorpion kind of also does as well. The weapons that need some work. The Pulse Carbine is a little garbage. I'm sorry to say, 343, you kind of missed the ball on creating a worthy successor to the Covenant Carbine. The Commando was good back in the flights. I understand it was a little too powerful, but you guys nerfed it a little too hard. It needs a little bit more of its kickback, otherwise it's unviable. The Ravager needs some help as well. I can't find a legitimate time when I've used the Ravager as an option in a firefight. I've always gone back to my staple weapons. And the way that I determine weapons is if it gets outclassed by weapons of its type. It's unfair to compare a Sidekick versus a Ravager, for an example. The Ravager should win that fight, but that's simply because it's an explosion-based weapon. It's supposed to cause big damage faster than the Sidekick can, so it's unfair to compare those two. But the Ravager gets outclassed by literally everything in the game. And that's saying something, because if the Plasma Pistol can do that, then you bet that the Ravager sucks. Because I have a lot of words about the plasma pistol, and I'm going to mention that right now, because the plasma pistol is also one of those weapons that I think really sucks. There's no way around it, 343. You messed up one of the staple weapons in Halo. One of the things that made the plasma pistol so awesome was the ability to nuke combo, its tracking feature, its ability to EMP vehicles. Yes, I understand there's the disruptor shock rifle. Yeah, I get it. Why take it away from the plasma pistol though? Did you just like suddenly... Did the Covenant 2 years later say, you know what? That plasma pistol that we've been using since the beginning of this war began, it kind of blows, right? Like, it kind of sucks. The ability to EMP that vehicle, we don't need that feature anymore. In terms of just like a logical perspective, taking out the ability to EMP vehicles from a from the plasma pistol is just horrendous, and I disagree with it strongly. The plasma pistol really needs some fixing. Lastly, new game modes need to be added. It's just inexcusable why in arena mode that I get only 4 game modes. There needs to be more added to big team battle and arena. So yeah, I those are my cons for Halo Infinite. I don't really think I have any other cons. There might have been pros and there might have been cons that I forgot, but overall these are my main things. But I do want to talk a little bit about SKE7CH's Reddit post. He had something to talk about in terms of basically there's these like 4 things that I want to talk about regarding this post. I want to talk about players berating the developers. I want to talk about basically his response on progression, and I want to talk about his response in terms of the lack of game modes. But I want to start out by saying, if you berate the developers, sending death threats, sending anything of that nature, even little like threatening things like of any caliber, that is terrible. That is a very underwhelming word that I use there, but it is without a doubt the most. It is a terrible thing to do to another person. There are human beings working on this game for you who really are trying their best. I do not believe for a second that 343 purposely wants this game to fail. I disagree. I disagree 100%. And I will go to town with any of you keyboard warriors if you can prove to me that 343 wants Infinite to fail. If you can prove it to me within reason, I'll cede the point. But I don't think a single person, a single reasonable person, believes that 343 wants Halo Infinite to fail. So berating them to get your point across, no. Learn how to use your words like an adult. You can talk and say, hey, 343, I dislike what you did here. Can you please fix it? Or even a little stronger if you want. Like, 343, you really messed this up. Fix it. Like, that's fine. But to say, to threaten someone or their family or anything over this, it's wrong. And I do not condone that. And I hope that the developers know that a good portion of their community does not want them to be harmed, and we want the best for them, and we all acknowledge that they want the best for the game as well. So 343, even if we may have some issues with what we got as a product from you guys, the vast majority of us do not want you guys to be harmed, and we want the best for the game as well. So that's all I'm going to say about that. SKE7CH also has some talks about. SKE7CH also mentioned the game modes. He said that there's going to be a few game modes that are going to be coming out post-launch. He's going to be talking about adding SWAT back. They talked about about Slayer becoming an actual playlist by itself. basically he was just talking about the reason why they didn't have those game modes was because of a UI limitation. And when I get into the constructive criticism part, this is where I'm going to address that part that Sketch had. But to me, UI limitations, yes, they suck. Yes, I understand, Sketch, that there's a certain amount of like QA testing that you guys have to do. But come on, dude. Like you guys are professional game developers. I aspire to be one in the future. You cannot tell me that was like not one of the things you guys thought of off the bat. Like, to me, the current UI is what you use as like a placeholder when you're developing the game. That way you can just make sure when you're testing, when you just like go down and up the menu and you're just messing with your controller, saying like, okay, if I press A, will it get me to the right menu? Yes. That's to me what it should be. And I don't know. I don't see the UI limitations. I don't buy it. You guys are professionals. I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, heck, I've made UI decisions, and I mean, it sucks to make a problem like a crappy UI, but the community deserves a better UI so they can play what they want to play rather than what you are forcing on them. Which basically gets me into progression, and that's the only other thing I really want to talk about in terms of this. In terms of of addressing Sketch's response on Reddit. Sorry, kind of lost where I was going there, but Sketch had some words saying that he also doesn't like that the progression system is the way it was, or the way it is. So he is on our side. But he also said that the business model for the game is now free to play. And that means that they have to get some money out of customization. And I understand that. I really understand that. If you're going to make a free to play game, you have to figure out a way for your game to make some money. I completely understand, and I agree with you, Sketch. The problem is you guys are bleeding us dry. You are giving us a $60 campaign, which I hope... and I'm only like 4 hours away from launch as of right now, as I'm recording this. So yes, I really hope that I paid $60 for a really great game. A really great campaign featuring the Master Chief that I've been waiting 6 years for. I really hope so, and I do not think I would, when I play it, I don't think I'm going to, even if it was like a little underwhelming or for the campaign, I'm still thinking like, I'm going to be happy with it. I got my $60 worth. I'm going to get a lot of playtime out of it. To me, it was worth the purchase. Now, the multiplayer, like, yeah, I get it. You need to make money off of customization options, but you are not willing to tell us what you are doing to lower that burden on us. You're not willing to talk about any plan that you guys are doing to alleviate the stress on the community. And that to me is a red flag, because that means there's the chance that you guys will not change it. And to me, that's that's terrible, and it needs to be changed. And in a few moments, I'll be talking about things that can be changed. Like it really, I really hope that you guys are sitting around the table and you're in those talks and you're telling them like, hey, the community really doesn't like this. And I really hope Bonnie Ross is going to Phil Spencer and saying, dude, I can't justify these prices anymore. The community hates it. We're losing money because of it. Can we cut the prices down? Or can we change the pay model completely? Like if that's the discussion, I really hope that that's happening right now. If that's happening, we're good. But if it's not, then I have a lot of fear for what's about to happen in the future. But overall, Sketch, I don't think a single person doesn't appreciate what you guys do. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate what everything everything that the developers do at 343 and any gaming studio, because I know it's not easy. It's not easy. It's difficult. It's a grind, and I understand that you guys do it because you love the game, you love the community, and you like doing this for people. You just, I don't know. I know that you guys are not trying to rob us blind. I understand that, and I hope that a good portion of the community believes that as well. Now, I want to talk about a few of the constructive criticisms. I've talked about these a little bit. The number one thing that I have here on my list is a progression system that tracks overall level, and you can tether this to the battle pass if you would like, or you can do what Call of Duty does, and you can have like one that's based on your level, and then like basically like an XP for you, and then an XP for your battle pass, and then you can track these separately, and then you can decide how that goes about. But that would be better than what we currently have, and I would highly recommend the progression system for when we track our quote unquote overall level to be like Master Chief Collection or Halo Reach or even Halo 3 if you want to go back to that route. The challenges need to feel more challenging. They need to feel like an actual challenge rather than a grind. Killing 15 people or killing 10 people with a gravity hammer, I mean, yeah, it's challenging, but it's grindy. I shouldn't have to grind out a challenge. The only grind in a challenge should be like Lasso back in the day when we had Halo Reaches weekly, and they gave us an entire week for that, and there was only 6 or 7 challenges in a week. Like that, or like 4 of those were dailies, and then 2 of them were weekly. I mean, that's good. That's a good balanced challenge system. Even the one in Master Chief Collection is a great way to do it. I do believe that they should bring back commendations, little XP, for like quality of so. Commendations are a good way of measuring like how much you play the game and giving you XP for completing certain tasks in the game. For an example, in Halo 5, there was commendation for killing a certain amount of clambering Spartans. You get an emblem for it. First you get a certain amount of XP, and then you get an emblem when you hit the max, when you finally achieved that commendation. That should be brought back, in my opinion. Weekly challenges should be turned into daily challenges, and I do believe that new weekly challenges should be taken to place, and those weekly challenges should be more challenging. The Keystone Challenge seems to be more of like a weekly challenge, so maybe instead of those Keystone challenges that you guys have, make those Keystones the weeklies, make the Keystones a different kind of challenge, but maybe make it like create like a middle ground between the dailies difficulty and then the weeklies difficulty, because like the Keystones should express like basically the weeklies should already be weeding out the players who didn't get to the Keystone, so that would be a way to still kind of get what you want in terms of having players be able to like show off certain parts of their certain things in their armory or their customization options. The Battle Pass needs to give players more armor. It is unacceptable how much armor, free armor, that players who do not pay get, and it's actually atrocious. I'm sorry, 343. I can't excuse it. So, give them more armor. That's as simple as I can make it. Like, I would probably remove the challenge swaps from the battle pass, replace them with credits, so people who purchase the battle pass can still continue to purchase your battle pass. Like, every single time a battle pass comes out, you're making them pay $10. You know what I mean? And those battle passes are only 3 months? They take 3 to 6 months between seasons. Like, to me, players should be able to If they spent $10 for the battle pass, you should be giving them that money back over time for playing your game. As I said earlier, anything interesting right now is kind of behind a paywall. The ideal route would be to have stuff related to challenges. So basically kind of like how... So the way you unlock armor in Legacy Halos is you completed challenges. So we should have a mixture of all of this in this game. So my idea would be to have some of the armor locked behind challenges. Have some of the armor locked behind customizations tied to the battle pass. And then have some special customization options like armor that is not normal, or armor that is like really, really like cool and really specialized. Put that behind a paywall, and that would be okay with me. The way it is right now, it is just you're getting too little for what you are paying for, and I disagree with the current business model, and it needs to be fixed. I like the idea behind armor cores, but you can't relegate it. You can't put customization specifically only to one core unless it makes sense. And what I mean by having it make sense is like, yeah, I understand. A Mark 7 armor core should not have a Mark 5 helmet on it. Maybe that'd be like, for me, I don't see the issue, but for you guys, you may want to like change this up a bit. Again, I was really just talking about back when I purchased the Sentinel blade for $20. I should be able to use those blades on my Mark 5, my Mark 7, and my Yoroi armor, and any other armor in the future. I should not have to, like, any armor that you unlock via the battle pass, any armor that you unlock via an event, or any armor that you unlock that you pay for, you should be able to put that on any Spartan you want. It is a single Spartan that we are trying to customize here, not 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, how many armor cores you guys have planned for the future. Again, the only customization that should be kept to a few cores should be like armor, for chest armor and helmets. The rest of it should be completely able to be used for all armor cores. The UI needs a facelift. I agree. Sketch, you did say that the limiting factor, it was a limiting factor, but it shouldn't be. And I talked about that earlier on. If you just want to keep the current UI style, you can have one menu, the current menu, go into a different menu. Let's say we have this current menu. It has ranked arena, right? Social, not social, but quick play, big team battle, and I think there's bot. Have those 4 still be there, but instead, when somebody hits quick play, have a little screen prompt them and say like, okay, would you like to play? Okay, I would like to play Slayer. I don't want to play Capture the Flag. I'll play Oddball, though. And I don't want to play Strongholds. That's a good way to do it. And like, kind of like the best way that I can talk about this system is Call of Duty. Call of Duty had it fairly well with their quick play, where you just like, I want to play Domination, Search and Destroy, 10v10 team deathmatch, and Demolition. You should be able to do that in Halo, and that's a very good way to incorporate it in. A few things regarding the weapons. Some of the weapons desperately need help. The plasma pistol needs its EMP ability back. The commando needs a slight recoil reduction, but you can keep the damage as is. I understand that the commando was kind of a little beefy, but the recoil needs a little bit of a tone down. The Ravager really needs some help. It needs I like the weapon conceptually, but I don't think it does enough damage, and it's getting outclassed by all weapon types. So I do think that maybe buffing the damage just a tiny bit, reducing the amount it overheats after it fires, as well as increasing the fire rate slightly, would be a good start to fixing the Ravager up. The Pulse Carbine, I like it, but right now is really underused. Like, when people say, would you rather use a battle rifle or Pulse Carbine, most people are immediately going to the battle rifle. But I want the Pulse Carbine to be competitive against the battle rifle. So my idea was Not necessarily buffing the damage. It does a lot of damage already, but it needs its projectile velocity increased, and it also needs to lower the recoil just a tiny bit, and then I think it'll have a healthy place in the sandbox. Give the tracking feature, like have those projectiles lock onto that tracking to the target a little quicker, get those bullets faster to the target, and then reduce the recoil a tiny bit, and you'll have a good weapon. My last major complaint regarding the weapons is the gravity hammer, and the way that I would fix this is it needs to be a little bit more like its old self. This has nothing to do with like its damage. I think it's fine. I just like the aesthetic that the gravity hammer once had. Like when you swung the gravity hammer and it hit the ground, it displaced everything. It displaced weapons, equipment, grenades, objectives, people, and even gravity itself was displaced. So it needs to have that back, and I really think that that was something special about the gravity hammer that we just don't have right now. And the very last topic in terms of constructive criticism that I have is the monetization system. The monetization system, as it stands right now, needs some correction. I really understand that it's a free-to-play game, and I understand that we have to understand the reality that microtransactions will be in the game. It's something we all have been dealing with for a long time in gaming. Fortnite, Rocket League, Call of Duty, Battlefield, like Madden, FIFA, Forza, like all these games have it. We understand the reality by now. It's been like 10 years since the first microtransactions have been introduced. We should be used to it by now. Games these days will have microtransactions. However, I disagree with selling customization at nearly a third of the price of your game. Again, it took $20 to buy the Anubis armor last week. It should not be that. To fix this problem, I think 343 should increase the payout of credits by about 25%. This means that if you pay $10 for 1,000 credits, you'd actually receive 1,250 credits instead. So you'd get 25% more credits for your money. Or let's say you pay $100 for 10,000 credits, you'd receive 12,500 plus the original bonus of 1,500, which would be about 14,000 credits, which is 2,500 credits more. So basically $25 more than what you would receive in the current model. Personally, though, I don't think it's enough just to cut the prices of credits. I do believe that, or to increase the amount of credits that we can purchase, I do believe that we need to reduce the price of items in the shop. So I'm saying a 25% price cut on everything in the shop. So the Anubis set that we saw last week, it cost 2,000 credits. With that 25% price cut, that armor will be like 1,500 credits, which is much more reasonable than 2,000. I understand that this suggestion or this idea might be still a little bit much, but this is, in my opinion, I think this is still more reasonable than what 343 currently has in place. And I mean, the other alternative is just to like cut all items in the store by like 50%, 40 to 50%. So that's pretty much it that I have for constructive criticism. I guess it's time for the closing comments. So essentially, kind of just to wrap this up, I know that this video is going on a little longer. I promise it won't be much longer, but really, I just want this game to be the best it can be, and I see the potential every single time I load up the game. I'm still not bored of it, and that's a good sign. The campaign drops in about 3.5 hours, so I'm really excited to be able to play that, get you guys some more content. And I'm actually, one of the pros that I forgot to mention is that I'm really happy that 343 is listening to us as a community. 343, I just want to let you guys know that you guys are appreciated for the work that you do, and I really hope that you guys if any of you at 343 end up watching this video, I really hope that you guys take into account something that I said, or any of the other members in the community that just want you guys to make the best game possible. and that's ultimately all that we can ask for. We just want you guys to make the best game possible, and I believe that you can do it. I genuinely believe it, and I just want to see this game. I just want to see this franchise return to its former glory. Call of Duty, Vanguard is kind of garbage. Battlefield 2042 is not living up to the hype. Halo, your time is now. I want to see it back on top. I want to see it badly back on top. And I think that the way that we have it right now, it possibly can. But we need to change things. And we need to vocalize them. But that's pretty much all I have for this video, guys. If you guys found this video entertaining, or if you guys liked anything that I said, or if you guys disagree with it, just feel free to leave a comment down below. Hit that like button if you guys want to. If you guys like this video, please consider subscribing as well. I'm going to be posting a lot of Halo Infinite content over the next few weeks. I'm also going to be continuing on with my Master Chief Collection, full run through of all the campaigns. I finished Halo 3 ODST not too long ago. I'm releasing those videos relatively quickly now, and I'll be going on to Halo 3 next. So there's a lot of videos in the pipeline, and I really look forward to bringing them to you guys. So again, hit that subscribe button if you guys want to see more. Other than that, though, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys did, as I said, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Thank you guys for watching.